Well, welcome to Signs of Life, the show where we find hope in the headlines. My name is Chase. I'm one of your hosts. I'm joined by Montana and Josiah. And look who's back!
Yay!
Serena!
It's been 3 months, y'all.
It's been a long time.
Longer than 3 months.
So the very last episode you were on, the very moment of the episode, right there where Montana sits,
Yeah.
you were
I was
technically
in-
delivering in a way.
I think going into labor is
That's
a term.
dramatic.
Delivering.
I was
A
literally
baby was shifting down.
Ugh. Yes, that is factual.
Shifting down.
Yeah, let's not do that.
you make it seem like
that.
Noah was exiting.
Noah was
In that
born
moment.
here.
A slow
No.
exit. It's
Oh
like if
my
someone was
God.
holding the door.
Anyways, 3
and he
months ago,
slowly stepped
I
through.
last recorded.
What
and I was in
episode
labor.
was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember the number.
It was
Was it
the
the Selena
contraction
Gomez
episode
one?
for me. It was the Selena Gomez episode, I think.
Yeah. So go back and watch that one and watch Serena's face and when
Yeah,
she gets
see
real
the
quiet.
Nope. You won't be able to tell.
She is
I'm
a
like
queen,
that girl
so.
who recorded on Encanto. She recorded that song where she was in labor. That was me.
Really?
Yeah.
Which song?
Surface pressure?
No, the big one, Family Madrigal. Yeah, she was in real labor.
In real labor.
Real labor.
Yeah.
Fake labor.
Not fake labor, real labor.
There you go.
Just
Well,
like
welcome
I was.
back.
Yeah, thanks.
So
Good
glad
to
you're
be back.
here. Back on the couch.
So
With me
happy.
too. Usually you're over there
I
with
know.
her.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. How are we gonna sit? Is it gonna?
We're gonna sit like this.
different? Okay.
Now you can't pick on me, be mean. So
Yep, you're right. Usually I'm the mean one.
we'll see.
That's how it
We'll
goes.
see. Well, what's been really cool and has been floating around the interwebs,
The galaxies.
the galaxies, nice, the
Nice.
galaxy of the
Hey.
internet. Very good transition. NASA released these updated photos from like the new telescope. It is crazy.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
That looks fake. That looks straight out of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
It really does. Kind of looks like mountains.
What's this
That
one?
looks like my
This is
cornea.
a dying star. This is a supernova exploding.
That's amazing.
Kind of looks like a
Except this
cell
happened
being born.
billions of years ago.
Supposedly.
That.
Those are some nebula, young stars being formed,
Wow.
gases and radiation. You can see the hot star forming in the middle. This is my favorite one right here.
Explain
That
this
looks
one.
straight out of a kaleidoscope.
So they said
Use the
that.
word.
So what we're looking at is a million different galaxies, right? So each one of those lights is a galaxy.
That's amazing.
Just to give you frame of reference, the Milky Way galaxy in which we live in has 100 billion planets in it.
The Milky Way?
The Milky Way, yeah.
I thought we only had 8 planets.
No,
Is that a dumb
that's
thing
our
to say?
solar system. So our solar system
It's true, solar
has-
system in a galaxy.
8 planets and Pluto.
and Pluto.
Sorry, Pluto.
Pluto should be a
Our
planet.
galaxy that we live in, like when you step outside and you look at the stars at night,
That's the galaxy.
you're only seeing our galaxy. Okay.
Okay.
So each one of these is a galaxy with 100 billion, possibly 100 billion planets in each one of them.
It's amazing.
That's insane.
Now, here's what's even crazier. This picture, if you walked outside and you took a seed or a grain of sand and held it up like this, and the amount of space that grain of sand takes up in the night sky, that's the amount of space this picture is capturing.
So is there more?
Trillions.
Trillions.
Oh.
more.
Trillions. And so
This is a grain of sand that you hold up.
this is
Maybe
a
go
grain of
outside.
sand. And so
Now
if you were
imagine all of it
the
being
entire, I mean, it's just incomprehensible,
get
right?
Yeah.
So,
Which,
needless
I
to
mean,
say,
let's talk about aliens, but like really
Right.
though, like that's a lot of planets.
so this looks
a lot
back
of-
to, when light moves, when you're taking a picture of space, you're taking a picture of basically past time. So like the sun takes 8 minutes for the light to reach the earth. Okay, so whenever you look up at the sun, you're seeing light that left the sun 8 minutes ago. These lights are about 13 billion light years away.
Is a light year?
So if
A
you were
regular year?
traveling at the speed of light,
no, so no.
it would take 1 year for you to get to 1 light year away at the speed of light, which is impossible,
Which
right?
is really fast.
My head's exploding.
So we're looking at like
Just like that song.
13 billion years of history right
Layers
here.
of history.
Right
Like
there.
so some of those don't even exist anymore. They've exploded. They're gone. They're dark.
Way gone. Yeah.
Way gone. But we're not seeing that at that point. So
I love
Yeah,
space.
that's crazy.
it's crazy, man. I mean,
So there's got to be another planet that's like life. I mean, like Earth.
Maybe.
There's got to be, right?
Well,
Like,
in order for
Maybe.
things to exist, something we were talking about off camera was that the conditions have to be
correct. Yeah.
perfect
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for it to exist.
For this to even
Yeah.
exist, and then you go into for a planet to be able to host life. And I mean, when you get into all of the mathematics and statistics of what it would take for a planet to be in such a condition that it would start to form life,
Right.
it's just like, I mean, it's
Impossible.
impossible.
Right.
Right.
Which we say that like that's impossible. Yes, but
Here
when
we
you
are.
have trillions of chances,
So there's another, yeah.
like it's possible.
Yeah.
But even here on Earth, like that's something I think I've always wrestled with is the idea of like you just shift one of those things one way or the other. Like if we were,
Right.
you know,
Oh, like the
just a little bit
butterfly
closer to the
effect.
sun, a little bit further.
Right.
If the Earth, the world was tilted, rotated, I think was the word I was going for, just a little bit more, like our weather would be out of control. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy how like perfectly balanced, if I had a pencil, everything is. And then we have this life, and so much has grown and so much has evolved and adapted, and what's crazy is you think about all of that, and like it's kind of fun to look at this, but like the truth is if we like hone all that back to just you, like an individual,
Right.
like we are trying to create, we are trying to produce, we are trying to become something, and it takes, like you're saying, an environment, and there's 1 in a trillion, you know, things that we could do, you know, different jobs, different vehicles, different things we listen to, different whatever, like all these different things, but like at the end of the day, we have to create an environment around us that helps us to, in my opinion, helps us to become the best person that we can become.
Yeah, they call the Earth the Goldilocks planet, and any planet they find that they think has potential for life, they say it could be in a Goldilocks area, which means, you know, it's the old
Not too
whatever
hot, not
story,
too
yeah.
cold.
Not too hot, not too cold.
Just right.
Perfect for life, and it's the environment we need for the Earth to thrive. And I just think for each of us individually, there's a Goldilocks environment for our lives.
That's good.
There's people I need to be around. There's places I need to be. There's words I need to hear. That is a environment that's suitable for my spiritual growth. You know?
That's good. And let's talk about that, because I can get on TikTok right now, and by the 5th or 6th scroll, I'm going to hit an ad, and that ad is going to tell me, you know, here's what you need to do: buy this product, sign up for this program, and your life's going to be better. You're going to have this thing now. You're going to be more fit. Oh, start this workout thing. Like, how do we determine even where to start with creating those environments around us?
Well, I think you got to look at what you want to grow. It's something we talked about on Sunday. I asked the question, what do you want to grow? You know? Because what you want to grow is going to determine what environment you need. And so I use the illustration, I won't rehash it, but if I want to be a better father, then I need to get around an environment that makes me a better father.
Right.
And so I think there's some things that we just all need to grow in, right?
Sure.
But I think there's things that are really specific to you. And so, Montana, what do you want to grow? You know?
I would like to be 6 feet tall. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things I think I'd like to grow in. There's a lot of like emotional intelligence, I think is
Right.
is a really big one. I want to grow in leadership, that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to know like what you're supposed to do. Like I think I'm having trouble answering your question, Chase, because it's like, how are you supposed to know? Like, how are you supposed to know what you don't know? Like, I don't, you know, I think that this is what I want to grow in, but what if there's something else that, you know, I need to grow in first before I can get to that? And I guess it's being around people that are willing to call that out in you, like with love, as they say. But
Which is part of your environment.
yeah,
You know, I think about, we were driving back, and we went on a trip this past weekend, and you talked about, oh, they know exactly, like, I didn't even know I needed that, but they knew I needed that, and it was about a cup or something silly. But like, just the idea of like, these different ads, commercials, pick your thing. It's like people telling you, no, this is what you need to grow in. And I think that is something that's important individually, is to stop and pause. And like you're saying, I don't know what I need.
Yeah.
But even what Josiah's saying is like, what do you want to? Because I think you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think even saying, well, I want to grow in this is going to open the doors to, oh, I didn't realize I needed to think about this. I need to consider this. Like, actually, I need to learn more about this. But I think we tend to just wait and let everyone else tell us,
man.
hey, this is what you should be doing better.
And we just wish and hope that things go better, and that and my whole challenge on Sunday was whatever you're wanting to grow and consider your environment, It's like, because we all sit around and we're going, man, I want to spend more time with my family and I want to rest and I want to read more, but the environment we're putting ourselves in is a busy environment that there's little time for your family, and we're packing our schedules or whatever the case might be. We're not putting ourselves in the environment and that's like taking a planet, that's so far away from the sun, it's pure ice and gas, and going, man, I really want there to be life on that planet. Well, there's not going to be, you're not in the right environment. And so I think we do that a lot with ourselves, is we try to will ourselves into growing in certain areas when it's like, well, dude, you're not in a suitable environment to even grow that. So
what are some things, as you think about for yourself, as you're helping someone, even just in our own, context of where we work, what we do, like, what are some things that you would say to help someone figure out their Goldilocks environment? Like, how do we determine, what is good, what is bad, what is healthy, what is not?
Whenever I'm trying to find my Goldilocks environment, which you're probably trying to do too in this conversation, I think that's a really good phrase, my Goldilocks environment. What's too hot, too cold? Like, I can't be something that I'm not in order to find my Goldilocks environment, or else I won't find the perfect conditions, right? So I have to be authentic with myself when I am trying to be something that I'm not, whether that's I'm trying to be more extroverted than I actually am. I'm an introvert. That means I like to socialize, and then I like to go into my hole. I've been in a 3-month hole here. But that was my Goldilocks environment. I needed to tuck in, and I needed to just get rest. And the world would say, maybe don't rest so much. Maybe don't take that much time off. You got these responsibilities, or people are counting on you, or you need to make more money. And you take yourself out of that Goldilocks environment to truly become who you need to be, or who God's trying to make you create in you in that moment.
And I think even like what you're saying for you personally, like, you did those things well, like when you were trying to be an extrovert and trying to do all these things, and some of that was, I think, a stigma that people even put on you based on jobs and positions that we were in. Like you did them well, and I think that's what's hard, is like, even when you're good at something, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best environment for you.
Yeah, and how do you know? How do you know that it's not the best environment for you, even when you're doing it well?
So there's
That's
like a level of self-discovery,
Yeah,
right? I think that there's like
absolutely.
a level of figuring out.
Montana wants to know, how do you know?
Now I'm being serious. How do you know?
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is, like, there is a level of deep dive. You've got to understand who you are, and
Or at least get curious about who
at
you
least
are.
get curious about who you are.
Because for me, when I was, sorry, we'll come back.
Okay.
When I was doing all that stuff you were saying, you were doing it really well. I mean, it was internally, my heart,
To talk about that, internally your heart was withering, your soul was exhausted.
I was exhausted.
What
I was
would that look like
resentful.
practically? Okay, resentful.
Yeah, everything was kind of like, I was begrudgingly saying yes to things, didn't really want to be there, but I could perform. And I noticed my anxiety goes up, my depression goes up, my dread to face these activities goes up, but it's because I have to, not because I'm being true to myself. And if I would have said no to certain things, or if I would have been myself, maybe in some of those environments, it would have been okay for me to say that. But in a lot of those environments, I genuinely didn't feel like I could say no, or I could truly be myself. And that's when you have to ask yourself, can I live congruently in this environment? And what I mean by that is, can my insides match my outsides in this environment?
Well, it goes back to, asking the two questions: what am I? Who am I? And what do I want to grow? Because, like, there is a false standard that the world has given us, saying this is the perfect environment, right? But you know, we can look at the rainforest and go, oh man, that is a perfect environment for growth. You put a cactus in the rainforest, it's gonna die.
Right.
So you have
put
to
Serena in the
understand.
rainforest.
You put Serena in the rainforest, she gonna die.
She
We're all,
gone.
we're all gonna die.
She gone, or whatever it is. You put a willow tree in the wilderness. You know, it's like whatever it is. And so you got to understand who you are. What are you trying to grow, and the environment that suits you for that, and then go seek after that environment.
And I think the second piece of that too is like a cactus, willow tree, pick your thing. Like none of those things are bad. They may be bad for those environments, but they're not bad. They're actually they're actually great.
They're beautiful
in the right
way.
environment.
Right, exactly.
And I think a lot of times what we project on ourselves or allow other people to project is this idea that like the good thing is this one thing. So let's just stick with the plants because we are like the good thing is an orange tree. So you need to be an orange tree. It's like, well, I can't be an orange tree when I live in Nevada, when I live in Nevada, when I live in the Sahara Desert, like, because you're in a desert. It's like, okay, let's figure out. And I think why I love following Jesus so much is it's not about becoming this sort of religious perfect picture thing. It's about like becoming a person of love and grace and compassion. Yeah. And that's needed in every environment and every personality and every country and every scenario and every workspace and every family. Like that's important. Yeah. And I think that's why I love following Jesus personally, because I don't have to be something that I'm not and that I'm not ever able to be. Like I have to be me, and I have to be the best version of me, which in my opinion is the Jesus version of me that loves people and loves God and pursues those things.
And this is what I love about just the way God works in our lives is you enjoy life more when you're in the right environment and you have that freedom to grow. Like your life is better. It's more enjoyable. And so it's not a strenuous activity to get in the environment that you need to be in and grow. So
I do think though, like, it's really hard. And maybe this is because I'm in my young 20s and like nobody really knows anything about anything. You're trying to figure it all out. But I don't know. I think that the way I grew up, the way a lot of my friends grew up, it's like I don't know, like what is my life supposed to look like? I think that we're all looking for the answer to that question. How am I supposed to be a good person, do the right things? Like, what does that really look like in a very practical sense? And like, I'm not saying I don't understand. I want my life to look like Jesus. I want to be an apprentice of Jesus and do that. But like, I don't live back when Jesus lived. So, you know, how can I do that practically? And we've talked about codependency a lot on this show as well, but even in my personal life, like dealing with that means I feel like I've lost a little bit of the skill of figuring out what I want, figuring out what my ideal environment should look like. Because if you're so focused on what other people need, you maybe learn to not think about your own needs at all. And now I feel like I'm at a place where I'm stepping away from that. I don't think that I'm living in that unhealthiness, at least as much anymore, at least trying not to be. But it doesn't make it necessarily easier to, okay, but what does Montana want? Like, I don't know. Most of the time when people ask me that, like, that's why I say I don't know. That's why I feel like I'm indecisive, because I'm like, I'm not lying to you and saying that I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
So how is somebody supposed to figure that out? What are the, like, skills, the muscles to work to figure that out?
I mean, when we talk about codependency, I think back to my codependent season in life, and I will always be a recovering codependent, but like there was a season in my life where it was raging, and when I chose to exit that season, if someone were to ask me, Serena, what's your favorite color? I would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what my favorite color is. I don't know what my favorite movie is. Because I was so enmeshed in other people, right? And so you lose this side of yourself. So answering something like this, like, what's my Goldilocks environment? It's like, I don't freaking know.
Yeah.
You know? But I think you start with examining, like, well, what does it feel like in my body? Because when I'm suppressing something of what I want or what I need or what I think or what I like, I can feel that here. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my throat. I can feel it in, in how I'm just ruminating on it. But when I make a choice that it's like, no, I like this, or I want to go see this just because I want to go see a movie and I'm not going to wait for anyone else to come with me or text me back. I don't have that burden that I used to carry, right? And so I start making choices that just feel right for me. And you start to find and discover things about yourself that maybe you couldn't when you were in the shadow, when you were suppressing a lot of yourself under other people or family or whatever it may be, right?
Which goes back to what you said earlier about trial and error.
Yeah, it is.
You try
It's
some
trial
things,
and
you're
error.
like, oh,
I didn't
actually
like that.
didn't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what, finding that Goldilocks environment for myself, I feel like I can answer that question now, but that's 16 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's taken a lot of trial and error figuring out what is good for me, what is not good for me, what is me suppressing my true self and my needs, and what's me saying yes to me and honoring me and watching myself grow. And whether that's grow as a mother, grow as a spouse, grow as a therapist, grow as a friend. But at the end of the day, before all of those things, it's just growing as a human being, and that just seeps into everything else.
It's like if you don't know the answer to what your Goldilocks environment, it's not because you've done something wrong.
No, it's not because you're a bad seed.
It's not because you're a bad seed.
God said, I made you in my image, right? Like you were designed as, I looked at you and said, you are good, every bit of you, every bit of me, every bit of Chase, even this stash, But
Every bit of Josiah. You forgot Josiah.
Hey.
Hey.
But and so we've got to have that acceptance of that truth alone, that I'm good. I might not be in the right environment to flourish, and that's okay. So if that's stepping away from things, if that's ending things, if good things maybe, but not the best things, like those are real parts of that discovery.
Yeah, and I think about what you just said has been a battle for all of us at some point, I'm sure at some level, but even just with a younger generation, like that's been the struggle with even the church, because at some point along the way, we went away from, you came from God and God is calling you back to Him, to you're just far from God, that's where you are, and you need to get to Him. And it's like, if we're made in His image, if we are called to be a reflection of who He is, if we are His ambassadors, like there's some level of connection from the start.
Right.
We can talk about sin, whatever, and how that broke, but like if we're really truly His DNA, then there's a place that's good from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is at some point, history, church history, whatever, we got to a place of like, no, you're bad. You're just bad from the start. You're a sack of bad. Good luck to you, and you need to get good. And it's like, that's not true. Like, we are good from the start. There's good in us because He created us.
Yeah.
But even the words I think you say a lot, like there's good in you, and then there's also better.
Yeah.
Like there's more. Like it doesn't just stop in those tiny fragments of good that you feel, that you see, that you hear, that you understand about yourself. Like there's more, and
Which
that's
is
what God's calling us
What I
to.
think, I think that's where the kingdom of God comes in, and what the picture that Jesus was trying to give us is there's this element of, man, you were created in His image, and you have this personal relationship with Him, and you have to have a little bit of self-discovery to figure out what environment you thrive in. That's the good,
Yeah.
right? But then the better is, okay, you're in this environment, man, but let me teach you how to live with love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and gentleness, faithfulness and self-control, and exhibit what it means to love God and love others. That's what Jesus came to show us, was the kingdom of God, and taking our life from, man, I'm in the right environment, to I'm in the best environment.
Yeah. Right.
Not only am I thriving personally, but I'm also living in something that resembles the kingdom of God.
Yeah, and I think you just gave that list that makes up the fruit of God's Spirit. And like back to even what Montana asked, like that would be my question, is like those things, whether you're a religious person, a Christian, you identify as a follower of Jesus or not, like that list of things we would say are good, and we want those in our life. And so my question then is like, when you participate in something, when you're in a conversation, when you're in a relationship with a friend, with a romantic relationship, when you work at a certain place, do you ever feel one of those 9 things? Do you ever feel that those 9 things are being cultivated and grown in you?
It's like a starting
And if not,
place,
maybe
man.
they're not. Then maybe that's not a healthy environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a long list, but like I think that list points back to ultimately, like you said, the Bible, we call it the kingdom, but it's that feeling of this is a healthy environment. This is a safe space. Well, I don't know why specifically that list is those 9 things in particular, but those 9 things make up this pretty wonderful picture of what a healthy space is going to look like. And I think it's a great measurement.
But speaking of that, like that environment in that healthy space, there's this very cliche, we all know it, phrase, the grass is greener on the other side. This conversation could easily lead people, and even us, to chase a new environment.
Yeah.
Let me just try this environment. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try this environment, right? And you look and you're like, oh, that's the environment for me, because, there's peace and joy and love and all these things. And maybe so. But at the end of the day, we know grass is greener where you water it.
Yeah. Yeah, you might.
You have to tend. You have to
Yeah.
nurture.
Yeah.
There is a season for sure in your life where you're discovering what environment is for you.
Right.
But, and maybe that's like where you're at right now. But if you get far down the road and every environment you're in is a bad environment,
Right.
you might be the problem.
commentary.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like that's where you got to look at yourself and go, well, maybe it's not the environment I'm living in. Maybe it's me.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it almost feels like it's kind of a 2-step process. Like maybe the first step is this self-discovery piece. You're figuring out what you want. And sometimes it's like, what do I like? And sometimes it's, what do I need to fix? Like,
Yeah.
That's good.
there's things that we could be doing wrong that we can fix, of course. And then that second step is what's around me. Because ultimately, the environment you're always in is with yourself. You're always going to be with yourself. And so figuring that out
Yeah.
first
And
before
how to tend to
before it's
that.
like, let me just
Exactly.
do something completely different.
Yeah, and just hop around. So this whole conversation was grown out of the billions of galaxies.
Grown.
Billions of galaxies,
Yes.
all down
All
to
let us
you,
hear.
Yeah.
to one.
I mean, but really, I look at that and I'm like, Daisy asks this question all the time, like, Mom, why are we so small on Earth?
I know.
She asks that all the time to me, and I try and give her like a better answer every time, but I'm just like,
I don't know.
because we're like,
Can we throw that picture back up there?
we matter to God, but we're just not huge, like
Yeah.
God, like,
I know. Isn't
but
that,
to an
it's crazy.
ant, we are huge.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Because like something like this makes you go,
why me?
like,
Yeah.
don't sweat the small things.
Yeah, like none of this matters.
But then it also is like,
It
man,
matters.
God cares about us.
Doesn't
It
it?
Yeah,
matters.
it's crazy.
You know these little curved areas right here? Those are that's light bending around a black hole.
What?
So like a massive supernova that's created a black hole. And so there's something like black holes all right there. Isn't that
Did you get
nuts?
like an astronomy degree over the
I know,
weekend, or,
seriously.
like,
Scientist Joe.
No, I read a lot on Reddit about this
Scientist
week.
A lot on Reddit.
I did take an astronomy class in college. I love astronomy.
I love it. I love the information.
Yeah,
Good.
Reddit is my source for all that.
Reddit,
As it should be.
the best place.
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Well, let's ask a this or that, and it's based off of something you mentioned earlier, as we talked about, self-discovery,
Wait, whoa,
figuring
whoa.
yourself out.
Has Serena been here for this or that?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
it was like the very beginning of it.
Okay. I
think
just
I've
wanted to
done
make sure
one.
she wasn't confused.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I got it.
Ask a question. You choose this or that.
I know.
I'm
guess it is
I'm
a
just
simple
trying to help
process.
motivate it. It's
Sorry.
really simple. Okay.
I'm
If
confused,
Optimal,
clearly.
optimal. If you had to choose
This or that.
Optimal.
this
What
or
does
this,
that mean?
this or that, this or this. I already messed it up. Okay.
Let's do this.
Would you go to a movie by yourself?
Yes.
Or would you go to a movie with a big group of people who are super interested in seeing the movie and super excited about it?
By myself.
By myself.
By myself.
By yourself? By yourself?
No, I'd go with people that are super excited about the movie that I want to be super excited about.
Okay. By yourself?
But I love going to movies by
So I
myself.
can enjoy it just by
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, 100%.
Wow. Okay.
But like, if
So like if me and Montana walked into the same movie, we would have to go to different
Sit
movies.
very far away.
we can't be excited
No, this
together.
is-
I was gonna be
I'm
here by
all,
myself.
Dang it.
all over with people. Yeah.
But I don't want to go to a movie theater that I want to watch with people who don't care about the movie.
Well, for
Or
sure.
who are talking to me, or who, you know.
yeah,
So like
I'm saying,
like
let's
like
say,
when we
uh,
went to Endgame, or
Like
we
your
went,
kids.
no,
Well, that always.
but yeah, Daisy's only been to a few movies that
Yeah.
she's
Sonic.
really liked, you know, dude, she's all about it. But
But yeah, so like Avengers, like a big
yeah,
movie.
not just
everybody-
like
yeah.
any movie where it's like, hey,
midnight
everyone, let's
premiere.
go watch this movie. Like, no, I'm out on that.
No, but like midnight premiere.
Yeah.
That
Twilight.
or I'm just gonna go see it by myself in the morning when no one's there.
I did go to all the midnight
I would
premieres of
always
Twilight.
do it with everyone. I think it's fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've gotten to one movie by myself, and it was weird.
And you died inside.
And I was just
Really?
like, all right, like.
Have you eaten at a restaurant by yourself? If you could
Never.
choose to eat at a restaurant by yourself, or
Well, I haven't like sat at a
with
table by
people?
myself.
See, eating at a restaurant by myself is like perfect scenario for me.
Me too. I love eating
Me
at
too.
restaurants.
Yeah.
by
See,
myself.
No, I love it.
Would you rather
Quite
eat at a
honestly,
restaurant?
any meal by myself right
Yes.
now sounds glorious.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree.
I've eaten
Interesting.
90%
I'll
of my
take
meals
one,
standing
maybe
up at
two
the island.
people, adults.
Adults.
That's not by yourself.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's my max.
If you had to.
like right now.
Ah.
If I
Two
had-
adults.
No, I want like 4 tables. You can bounce
No,
around.
I hate those.
Every
things,
table's a
man.
different type of party.
Like the-
Each
like
one's
the
great
big
weddings.
weddings.
It's a blast
I
blast.
hate those, man.
A wedding.
Because then I don't know where
Basically
to sit.
a wedding. I would
Yeah.
like to do a wedding. Every Friday night. Let's have a
Yeah.
Oh
wedding
my
reception.
gosh.
Anyways.
Just
You
have a big
are
party.
s-
I'm just
different breed.
concerned that y'all don't love people like
I
love
do.
people.
I do love people.
Do you?
I'm projecting.
I do.
Anyway.
Anyway, well, we want to hear from you. If you watched the episode, we'll ask it on social media. Movie by yourself, movie with a bunch of people.
Depends on the context, is what I say.
We'll just say everyone's obviously interested
on
in the
the
movie.
people.
Big party. Everything's always in context. But
Yep.
thanks for joining us for Signs of Life.
Good to be back.
Serena, thanks for being
Yay.
back. Share this episode with someone. Make sure you subscribe so you can get it every
Daisy's
Thursday when it drops. And we will see you next time on Signs of Life.
Yeah, that was fun.